Okay, now we're recording.
We're rolling? Hello,
Take two.
I am Dr. Mr. Science. I am from, where am I from? Nazi land, USA. And
Okay.
back in the day, when the Fuhrer, when we'd have outings, you know, we were bombed out of all our oil, so we had to get something to run our tanks. So how we did it, one of the things, is we had these carburetors that used electricity from the mechanical motion of the engine, just like you have a, what are those generators that generate your battery? Alternator. Just like you have an alternator, that current is put into a tank, plastic, stainless steel, filled with water, two electrodes, positive, negative. You run current through the water, you get hydrogen and oxygen. You take that straight, direct to the carburetor and inject it into the mix of gasoline or whatever fuel you're using, and you will get 100% mechanical efficiency from that process. Whereas today's cars, no matter, you know, hybrid, whatever, they aren't going to the point. That gasoline is not burned completely. About 60% of the BTUs of that gasoline is either going out the tailpipe or off your hood. You need to burn the gasoline completely, thus you'll burn less gasoline, and you burn it completely so there's no hydrocarbon left. When we first tried this, we put the little sensor in the exhaust tube, and all we got out of the exhaust tube was water. And then Rudolph tried to take that water and put it back into the tank. It didn't work too good. But this is very simple. This is off the shelf. You can get it anywhere, any place. Go to your place that sells car parts.
Checker, I don't know.
Yeah, we have, I don't know.
Whatever.
What we have.
Car parts, okay.
But anybody can do this. I had another friend who went totally nuts with this idea when I told him the story. And his parents died, and they had a, where they grow, what do they call it? Gardens, where you sell the plant to, nursery. And so he had some cash, and he went to the junkyard. He's a big junkyard guy. And he bought two of these gigantic tractor-trailer tanks that transported milk. He cut them in half, and he put fish in them. And then he smoked the fish, and he made a fortune. Because he was in the bourgeois land of Woodstock. And so he had more money, and we made all kinds of devices, solar arrays, wind turbines, and we did the spherical ones, because I said he wanted to build the big. The beauty of the spherical wind generator is that it only has to be 30 feet high. And he used the whole surface. You get twice as much torque as those big, gigantic windmills for half the size. It's like, duh. And this shit was invented in the 30s. There was a guy in 1890 in Florida. He was a Nazi, and he went down to the Key West, and he said, how can I make money? They had no electricity and no ice, and the train hadn't come yet. And he dug a hole in a coral reef and then sunk a concrete tube inside it, and he put ammonia at the top, and it would drop down to the bottom and run a generator. And then it was so cold down there, I mean, the difference in temperature caused it turned into a vapor, which then kind of went up the outside of the tube and then fell down. It was virtually a perpetual motion machine. He ran it for 80 years. They dismantled this thing in 1967. It was making almost a kilowatt a day, and no, kilowatt or more than that. It was making a lot of juice, and it was making ice.
Wow.
And I got rid of it.
Who?
Do you know the design? Do you know the design? Is it
It's
lost?
a very simple design.
Is it
It's
lost
just
forever?
two concrete tubes. You drop ammonia down. It runs a generator, 100 foot. That's kind of volume you need. I mean, there's so much stuff. I mean, I went to this university that we really focused on that stuff, and we learned. Whenever you do research, you always look at the literature. Who did it before you? And it's amazing the stuff that was. I mean, do you know about Nikola Tesla?
Yeah.
Man who invented alternating current, radio, microwave, TV, X-ray, you name it, he did it. And he did it in the 1870s, right? So, and half of the shit that he invented hasn't come out yet. So, like wireless transmission of current.
Wow.
Yeah. He built a actual industrial size, to show you this can work. And then they tore it down, and about 70 years later, they built a nuclear power plant on top of it.
A nuclear power plant?
Yeah, it was right on Tesla Avenue and 25A in Long Island.
Did Tesla have anything to do with nuclear power? No.
He had things to do with the Philadelphia experiment and with nuclear weapons. He worked on the Manhattan Project, along with Steinmetz and all those guys. There were some pretty smart guys. Enrico Fermi figured out the math in his head, the shape of, nuclear weapons. The neutrons had to bombard this one little thing at a specific time, at a specific place, really intensely. And so they kind of need mirrors in there, right?
Uh-huh.
Well, today they need to use supercomputers to figure that shit out. He did it in his head.
Oh.
That boy is smart.
Very smart.
End of the story?
End of story.